The tough economy is not only a big challenge for President Obama, a huge one on his plate, but also the task of bringing Democrats and Republicans together so early in his presidency. A new poll is out. It's a Pew Research poll, and it shows that the president presiding over a partisan divide, well, this hasn't been seen in decades, this spread. 61% of Americans believe the country is more divided politically than in the past. That's up from 46% in January, and 53% polled say Republicans and Dems are bickering more than usual. That's up 14 points from the beginning of the year. We're joined now by two New Jersey congressmen from opposing sides of the aisle. Democrat Bill Pascrell, Congressman Pascrell, sits on the House Ways and Means Committee, and Republican Scott Garrett, who sits on Financial Services. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in today.
Good to be with you. Thanks.
How are you today?
Congressman Pascrell, according to this poll, here's what I get. More Democrats approved of former President Bush, more Democrats approved of former President Bush than Republicans do of President Obama. A little surprising. Why is that?
Well, I think that the president has high ratings. Every poll shows 64 to 66%. He's doing a fantastic job. I think the results we're going to be seeing very, very shortly. And by the way, if I were Republicans, I wouldn't be so concerned about the numbers from the Pew poll. I'd be concerned about the numbers of their own party, which has the lowest ratings of any party in 25 years. Their rating is down to 31%. So, I mean, poll numbers can be whatever you want them to mean. I think we should be concerned more about the substance, what we support, what we don't support. And the president has reached out. Remember, on January 27th, Julie, he went to the Republican conference. I think Scott was at that conference. Before he entered the room, the Republican leadership made it very clear that there was going to be a no vote on the recovery. I don't think that's bipartisanship either.
Congressman Garrett, what can Obama do to close the party divide? In other words, what can he do to win over Republicans' approval?
Well, as someone who has worked across the lines, just as myself and Bill has as well, I think we both would like to see, America would like to see, that the president would implement what he said he would do during the campaign, and that is genuinely extend that hand to work with us. When the president did come into that room, in the conference room, and so spoke to the Republican Party, his answer to most of our questions and our offers to work with him was, he can't go there. He can't work with us. The positions we were saying is ones he couldn't take. In short, it's what he said before that. He won. And that's really what we've heard from day one. We heard it from the inauguration when he was still, taking shots at the president. We heard it from him when he was overseas in Europe, when he was doing the same thing, taking shots at this past administration as well. That sort of stuff has really got to end if he really wants to engage in the type of post-partisanship that he said he wanted to, and that America wants to see, as he talked about during the campaign.
Congressman Pascrell, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious the biggest thing that's driving this divide is the economic stimulus package. On Twitter, Sniper123 is their screen name, writes to me, it's not just Republicans, it's everyone who worries about their grandchildren's financial future and an overly powerful federal government. I mean,
I'd agree.
That's a very good point, that it's not just Republicans he needs to win over.
Absolutely.
It's the Democrats.
He's the president of the entire country. And by the way, a leader, Pence, who came out of that Republican meeting, and as Scott knows, he's one of the leading spokesman for the Republican Party. He said that he thought that the president was extremely genuine in his extending of his hand. Now, it works two ways. There's got to be a two-way street here. Of course we need to work together. Much of my legislation is bipartisan. I hope Scott would agree that that's the best way to go. In fact, on the major issues, you probably not going to have total resolution unless you have both parties working together. But when you've already stated that before you even hear the case that you'd vote no, that's the leadership's pronouncement, I don't see that that's a good step in the right direction. I think there's enough Democrats and enough Republicans that want to work together, and I personally believe that the president, that's what his objective was and is at this day.
Congressman Garrett, I've got another tweet here. Max Edge writes, I am sorry to say, but there is no way that Obama can win true conservatives' approval. Class warfare is key to his success. Class warfare, that's something that comes up a lot when we talk about President Obama. True conservatives, I mean, is it possible for him to ever win them over, really?
Well, he's certainly not going to win us over, any conservative over, if he engages in class warfare. And a lot of what we've seen in both from the other side of the aisle, especially from the House leadership, has been that sort of discussion, what have you. But I think he can win us over on some of the other issues, or we can work with him on other issues. But he has to put the rhetoric aside. He has to really open up the discussions. I mean, take, for example, the issues of the stimulus. There was a case where he didn't bring anyone on board. In fact, basically, they excluded us. They didn't allow us to have any discussions. There was no markups, no committee hearings, no nothing on that. We were put aside, and they just rammed it right through. Take other issues that they've done. It's so much different than when President Bush was here. Not that he did everything perfectly, but remember, he came in, got us No Child Left Behind, which some of us may disagree, reformed education, but he worked with the Democrats on that. He did a tax cut, and he worked with the Democrats on it. Those are some major initiatives where there was huge disagreements, and he worked with the Democrats. Then the first several major initiatives that we've seen out of this administration on taxes, on spending, there's been no working, and there's been no bipartisanship at all. They're in the leadership position. They're the ones who have to really work with us, and they've really stonewalled all along.
All right, Congressman Pascrell and Garrett, thank you so much. One more tweet I got to read. Color Me Red writes, Obama has to demonstrate leadership, stop covering up his flubs, and stop blaming past administrations.
I got another one here from Boogie King. Republicans will always hate Democrats. Black, brown, or white, doesn't matter.